Students, as we continue forth with our lives, looking forward to college, our future careers, and the start of our independence, we sometimes forget to look back at where we came from. Furthermore, we almost never look back at the people that came before us and learn from their stories. This is what Shabbat with Survivors aims to accomplish: to have you, the survivors, share their story message for the world today. Through the stories of the brave survivors of one of the largest genocides in history, the Nazi Holocaust, the reflection of what once was can be truly realized. Magda Bader, Peter Tarjan, Laszlo Selly, Anita Caro, and Judy Rodan. Thank you for sharing your testimony, as if it weren't for your participation in this project, it would not have been possible. Shabbat with Survivors hope to expand upon the boundaries of your past and hear more about your thoughts on what the future of the world is as we know it. This goal was taken above and beyond. Your voices are not only impactful, but crucial for society to flourish past the mistakes of the past, the tragedy and hardships you all went through all those years ago. Even though this project provided an amazing resource for Holocaust education, what I hope above all else was that you and the students were able to connect further than just an academic level, building relationships that would last a lifetime. For the students who were elected to volunteer for this project, your goal was to take a deeper look into the people affected by events of the past, like the Holocaust, learning from their reflections of the past and connecting it back to your own personal life. From the comments and feedback I've heard from each of you, this project went beyond teaching you all about the Holocaust and inspired you to apply the values of hard work, hopefulness, and empathy in your everyday lives. I implore you to keep these values in mind as you face the many social issues prevalent in society today. It is up to us, the future generations of our world, to do all that we can to make sure never again becomes a true reality. Survivors, you will hear from each of the students, as they'll be sharing their thanks for the time and effort you put into this project. Students, I ask that you listen and take in all of the words spoken by your peers today. So without further ado, let's begin. This is the community service project known as Shabbat with Survivors, where students pair up with Holocaust survivors to create real conversation and connection. Shabbat with Survivors aims to build relationships with students and survivors by speaking on both the Holocaust survivor experience and the socio-political climate of the modern day. This is accomplished with the use of online communication platforms to bring these two seemingly different groups together, finding common ground and empathy in their personal experiences. This project serves to help two main groups: the students who learn and develop as both Holocaust educators and people, learning from the past to better our future, and the survivors themselves, who are isolated in their homes as a consequence to the COVID-19 virus. Through the people the program aims to help, its impact will be truly realized. How do you think what you learned from that experience during the Holocaust is kind of coming back up again now during COVID?
What are the similarities? It's a close down. It's dangerous. It's health aggressivity. It's social issue. It is a closing down of family, of work, of life, of everything. Right there, we're on the same page so far. Here, with the coronavirus and all over the world, we have these similarities, but not quite. Because during the Holocaust, we have to add the very important and very gruesome detail of the atrocities committed to the Jews. Because even though they were hiding, people here are not hiding. The people there were hiding, including myself. Yes, it brings back memories. As you know, I was hiding You heard it the last time we were together.
All of the meetings are recorded for the purposes of tracking the progress of each group. Students, after every meeting, create video journals documenting their experiences in the meetings.
So this meeting was pretty cool in the fact that we didn't really discuss Judy's actual experiences as much. Instead, we focused on the kind of effects of it and the COVID-19 pandemic. The thing that she focused on was how the impact on people was the biggest part. You know, people are stuck in homes now, just as they were stuck hiding during the Holocaust. And it's very, very interesting to hear that parallel.
After all of the student survivor groups finished 10 meetings with each other, we hosted a final conclusion meeting with all of the survivor groups, administration, and myself to celebrate the achievements and accomplishments of the project. In this meeting, students gave speeches to their designated survivors, talking about how thankful they were for their time and effort that they put into the project, and survivors gave their final thoughts on the students they worked with and Shabbat with Survivors as a whole. Dear Judy, on that first Zoom meeting, as my partner Chris and I waited in anticipation, we met you, Judy, and with a big smile across your face, you introduced yourself to us. Your energy and enthusiasm showed me just how dedicated you are to helping others. You're selfless, kind, and a role model for people like myself. You started with your story, how you lost the people you loved and faced the tragedy of hiding in fear for a long time. And through all of that, your positive outlook on life has shined through. After hearing about how you moved to Venezuela with your aunt and uncle and eventually came to America, you asked us for our stories, where we came from, what we're doing now, and where we'll be going in the future. Seeing as Chris and I were both seniors in high school, we had a lot to say, and you listened to every word we spoke. You understood our hopes, dreams, and even fears. You made our meetings meaningful, educational, and hopeful. You always tied in every time we met with something that goes on within our lives, whether that be school, friends, or family. There was always a new piece of wisdom you imbued onto us. I remember one specific meeting when I told you my fears of moving away from college, and then that's when you sat with me and taught me how to meditate. It was wonderful, and even now I use those techniques today when I'm anxious or need to think about something in my life. I'm proud to call you my role model, and I only hope that one day I can make as big of an impact on the world as you have. Thank you for everything. It was a blessing to meet you.
Mhm.
I know that you will always be there for me, and I will always be there for you. I will try to make you proud with the work I do in the future. You've inspired me, and without you, I would not be the person I am today. Chris just sent me his speech. He cannot be with us physically, but he asked if I can read him a speech that he wrote for you. This is from Chris. Judy, I came into this program expecting to learn more about the Holocaust than more about the actual experiences and what the people went through. But instead, what I got was the opportunity to be exposed to a person whose wisdom and character was unlike anyone else I've ever met. Each 40-minute meeting transformed my perspective on the Holocaust and survivors and life in general. Never did I think this program would be so transformative and impactful on my life and those around me as your influence gradually spread from me to my sister, to my mom, to my dad, to all of my friends at school. I'm incredibly grateful I had the opportunity to even meet with you, much less be able to talk with you on a bi weekly basis for as often as we did. How I wish I had the opportunity to spend more time with you and your words of wisdom and grow our friendship even further. I think often about how we are used to take such detailed notes of every single meeting and how I felt so guilty when I couldn't find these notes before one of our meetings. And I remember you reminding me and telling me that it's not that I write down from the meetings, but what I take away from them as a person. At the time, I didn't understand the depth of this, and I was still concerned that I had lost my notes because I was so reliant on them since I had all the information. But I realize now that what mattered most was not the words I had on the page at the end of the day, but it was the lessons and wisdom I took along the way. Judy, I expected knowledge, but I gained wisdom and a friend instead, and for that I will never be able to thank you enough. With love, Chris. There are 5 groups thus far, each comprised of 2 students and 1 Holocaust survivor. They have bi-weekly meetings, each touching on a subject of their choice.
When I got here, I was 17 years old. But finding a job was not easy in the beginning, especially when you don't speak English. So I went to work in a photography darkroom.
I think it was really cool to see how Laszlo kept working even though he didn't always enjoy working in the dark room, and how he still loves photography now. And he actually did make it as a photographer, which is incredible since that doesn't always happen.
Although like everything that's happening and everything he went through, he still followed his passion and he kept it as profession, and he really like boosted his business and he really was dedicated to it and passionate about it. And I just find that like so interesting and so admirable that like someone, no matter what happens in their life, they still follow what they want to follow. And I just found that this meeting was like really interesting and really nice to know.
The time that I've been able to spend alongside both you and Alexandra has been such a unique experience. I've been able to experience empathy, understanding, and joy within these past few weeks. At the beginning of this program, I was unsure of what I was going into. I was nervous and didn't know what to truly expect. I didn't understand the full extent that this journey would teach me and guide me. The meetings had become a habit and something that I would look forward to every other week. Being able to sit down and just hear about your life and learn about each other has been such an amazing opportunity. One of my favorite parts of every meeting was when you would talk about your photography. Seeing how much love and passion you hold for the subject and how you continue to follow it throughout your life was something I was able to take so much inspiration from. You've been encouraging Alexandra and I throughout this whole journey and reminding us that we can do anything we put our mind to. I'm eternally grateful for the connection we've made with you and for the time you gave to us. You showed me that survivors are more than just survivors, and to always do what you believe is right and to never give up. I'll miss our Zoom calls, and Alexandra and I will make sure to have one every couple of months to catch up. Thank you so much for being there with us, guiding us, teaching us, and becoming like a family.
Dear Laszlo, I'd first like to tell you how incredibly grateful I am of you taking the time to talk to Ev and I over the past few months. Looking back, I find it shocking how we started meeting up in October and how different life was then from now, even though it's only been a few months. Before our first meeting, I was kind of nervous because I had never been involved in a project like this, but after the meeting was over, I realized how relaxed I felt talking between the 3 of us, seeing as you returned our energy with your own equal interest in us. You always made sure to ask us questions back to us, and I really felt like we had a lot of fun talking amongst ourselves, from making jokes to having serious conversations to talking about different restaurants around the world we've been to. As you told us about the different stages of your life in different pieces, I realized how much I admired you for all your hard work and care you've put into what you are most passionate about. One of my favorite moments was from our last meeting where you showed us all the different prints of photographs you had taken of the sunrise at the beach. Each image was so incredibly different, and yet they were all equally and uniquely stunning. And I believe that your passion for your work was reflected through these pictures. As I begin to move into the next stage of my life, I will take your uplifting and motivating words with me. From the beginning, you told Ev and I that we could accomplish anything we wanted in our lives, all the while maintaining the responsibility of the future. I hope you know how much I look forward to our meetings, since they each felt like an opportunity to just sit down, take a break from the day, and have a refreshing conversation amongst friends. Ev and I promise that we will have meetings every few months or so to keep up with one another, so we don't lose this incredible bond we've created. I know you won't receive our gift for a little while, but we really hope you enjoy it and that you get to visit Japan one day, as you told us. Please take many more beautiful pictures and think of us while you are there. Again, thank you so much for being a part of our little family and dedicating the time to this project.
Some groups choose to begin chronologically, going from time period to time period in the Holocaust survivor's life, while others chose to organize them on a question-by-question basis from the students.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo te va? Mientras tanto, Hanukkah ya se terminó el jueves. El jueves se prendieron las últimas velitas.
Sí.
Sí, y fue bien lindo. Todas las noches prendemos velitas y si no hubiera sido por este COVID, estaríamos en familia, intercambiando regalos, pero lo hicimos de todas maneras la primera noche. Que prendimos la primera velita, intercambiamos los regalos Yo les regalo a mis nietos cosas pequeñas, nos regalamos cosas que no son así de mucho valor. Yo tengo por costumbre a todos los varones de la familia, les regalo medias, socks.
Since we're getting closer now to the end of Hanukkah and Christmas, this meeting was completely dedicated to like all the celebrations that the Jewish people have. So first we started off with Hanukkah and why it's celebrated so widely and it's so famous. And from there on, me and Stefan got to ask her like what she does for the holidays and like all like the various foods that she likes, and just like all around in general, just like what they do during these celebrations, like what food they
to basically persecute them and destroy their temple. So yeah, I got to learn about Hanukkah, and I always had like some doubts, or was like, because again, it was something that like I knew about it and learned through school when I was really young, and then and I knew about it, but like I didn't, a lot of stuffs were kind of vague and faint. I never really took the time to really research it more. So her explaining it to me, like I feel happy now, because now I know someone asked me about Hanukkah, like, oh, if they have questions about Hanukkah, I'll be able to answer it, because now I know about Hanukkah and why it's celebrated and how it's celebrated.
First, I want to thank Victor and Barreto for giving me the opportunity to work with the survivors. I'm really happy. I'm so thankful that I got this opportunity. So with that, I'll begin my speech. Dear Anita, I want to begin by saying thank you. I consider myself privileged to have worked with someone as amazing as yourself. Not only have you been an exemplary role model for both Stefan and I, but you have taught the both of us what it means to truly have adversity. You have never shown an ounce of sadness or pity upon yourself, and make a point to be continuously smiling when we'd have our meetings. I would always look forward to those Saturday evenings after an especially challenging pair of weeks at school and be able to hear your stories of when you were in your adolescence, and with no hesitation answer any questions Stefan and I had. Even though we are not related by blood, you gave me and Stefan unconditional love, and your wishes for our well-being have held up all this time, and I hope it will continuously stay that way. I hold you to the utmost respect and see you as someone who is tougher than that of the strongest men in the world. You have taught me that life has its ups and downs, but that it will never stay stagnant. And having hope for the future and having the flames of determination and adversity burning inside of yourself can bring anyone from the lowest points to the peaks of mountains. You have never failed to teach Stefan and I something new, and I always took home another life lesson from you with each of our talks. I really do mean it when I say thank you for everything that you have done for me, and I will always reserve a place in my heart just for you. Love, George.
Anita, you have been the most amazing mentor and have been the highlight of my weekends every time we have had a meeting. If I'm being honest, my favorite meeting was when you were giving us trivia questions, puzzles, and stories of the Jewish faith in American history, stories from the Revolutionary War to the space program. It was priceless wisdom that I could not have received anywhere else. There was no moment where I was bored, and time would fly by every meeting. Our conversations of 40 minutes would feel like 5, where I would always be surprised it was time to go already. To this you said, it's because we are having fun, and that was the truth. Across all the meetings, you would always go out of your way to ask George and I about our lives. You would turn the tables, and you'll be the one asking the questions, wanting to know us better, and even giving us advice for later on in life. I soon began seeing you like family, and there was no other way to describe it. Your sweet advice and stories never failed to put a smile on my face. There are no words to describe how much I respect you and admire how wise you are. I can only hope to have a fraction of the amount of knowledge you know. I'll never forget my jaw dropping when I found out the numerous languages you speak. I only hope to one day travel to all the countries you've traveled and learn about all the cultures you've been surrounded by. Another important part of the meetings for me was learning about the Jewish faith. You've taught me so much of the rich history behind it. I now understand the significance of the Wailing Wall and many other customs, the relationship of Israel with its Arab neighbors, and its relationship with other Abrahamic religions. I remember after every meeting, George and I would be in awe of the amazing strength you had during the war and still carry today. You are proudly active in Holocaust education and never feel the need to leave anything out. You never fail to tell the people the truth of what happened without hesitation. I am so grateful to have been part of this project and met you. I've learned so much more than I thought I would have, and I will never forget the job you entrusted to George and I. I will always remember the lessons on how I can help my community and help society for the better, and how I as a person can grow to my full potential. I promise to share your story and what I've learned with my friends and family. Thank you so much, Anita. And as we said in our last meeting, this isn't goodbye, but till next time.
How has the Holocaust affected the way that you perceive the world? Are you more existential because of it? Is your is your outlet is your outlet on the world more inherently not like nihilistic because of it?
Negative or positive?
Negative, negative.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think the world we live in is very just, and I don't think it is fair. So, and I watched it for all my life, and I'm 84 years old now, and I see that bad people come out on top quite frequently, and I always hope that things will get better, but they don't seem to be.
This week, we talked a lot about politics. We talked a lot about living in different countries, and we learned that I learned that Peter is working on writing. He enjoys writing a lot, but not fictional. It needs to be nonfiction for him, is what he prefers. He likes writing about history and events that have happened. Of course, he has written about his experience in the Holocaust before, and he's worked on books documenting other survivors' experiences.
It was an interesting discussion on how we perceive current events, especially Peter. Um, it felt like a very reflective conversation, especially seeing the perspective of how current affairs parallel a lot of historical events.
Thank you so much, Peter, for participating in this project with Carlton and I, as well as a many thanks to everybody who's participated. It means a lot to all of us, as I'm sure you can tell. It means a lot to me personally that, Peter, you took the time to get involved and tell us your story and allow us to interview you and get to know you as a person. At the beginning of this project, we initially talked a lot about your past, Peter, regarding the Holocaust, and we explored a lot of heavy topics that, for me, in my education, we have never really gone into depth with, and about your challenging circumstances during the war and growing up. And it really meant a lot to understand it on that personal level. I've read about the Holocaust. I've studied it. I've learned about it in school. I've watched documentaries. I've even visited museums. But Peter, you took all that knowledge and you put it into a story that was more concrete for me because it was on such a personal level. I really absorbed so much information from you and so many life lessons, and it means so much to me. It almost felt like I was talking to a family member. Our meetings were really amazing, and I want to thank you so much for them. I learned about how important resilience is, how communities can come together through your stories, about how your community has enabled you to get back on your feet on certain times in your life, how it's enabled you to travel to different places. And it wasn't just learning about your past during the Holocaust and your experiences during that time. It was about learning your whole life. You've done so many amazing things, and it was really, really interesting to learn about that. I also want to thank you for discussing current events. This year has been insane. We saw a new president being inserted into history. We saw an insurrection go down in the Capitol. We have been through an entire pandemic and new developments, including vaccines. We discussed all of this. Discussing all those recent politics and events with someone who has had years of experience and knowledge has really impacted me. It's been really helpful because it's been very hectic. And having someone with so much knowledge and life experience really was kind of calming for me because you put things into a different perspective. And I really want to thank you for that, for imparting your wisdom on us. And the dialogue and conversations that we shared, I will really, truly treasure for a long time. A big thanks to Carlton for being such a good partner. And Peter, a big thanks to you for just being you. And thank you for being such an excellent interviewee. And Victor and Barreto, thank you for allowing this project to happen.
I would like to thank Peter, the subject of this letter and the beacon of countless memories and hours of wisdom and consolation. I remember when I first endeavored to write this speech, I felt a cumbersome weight as I sat there in front of my blank page. Unfortunate to myself, I had imposed upon myself the Herculean role of trying to chronicle and condense the emotional and philosophical sway of just about 10 months of time in a few choice words. How does one go at describing the intellectual endowment that I am to Peter for his time that he's given to us with little to nothing in return? How am I supposed to consolidate that of the emotional awareness of Peter into mere cohesion? How do I go at it describing the reverence of a man that I see so much from? At some point, I just had to stop writing, and I felt an immense disappointment in myself for not giving Peter the speech that he deserved. It was when I was listening back to the Zoom and hearing Peter's words that I realized simply that the task was not one I could simply express through words. The legacy and the respect that Peter deserves is not one of glib words. It is of a promise and a commitment to follow and spread Peter's words and ideas onward. I hope in my gait and my words, Peter and his ideals are known, and that in my own awareness, I see the ideals and morals of a much, much stronger man. As I carry the flame of youth, I hope that the kindle of Peter's wisdom shimmers. In a simple hope, I wish that Peter is known in the words I choose and the legacy that I seek to carry.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, friends. How are you?
Good. Good, thank you.
You did not know that you're going to have an old friend, right?
No, it's amazing.
How are you?
We're good.
Okay,
How are
how
you?
have you been?
Today is a warm day here. It's 50 degrees. And
Wow.
it's really for you see, I'm still wearing a lot of clothes. You said turtleneck.
Yeah.
But in the middle of the day, I went for a little walk around the building with a neighbor of mine. And then at 3 o'clock, I had a Zooming session, a class that I take. And then it just finished. So I went quickly to make myself a cup of tea. And then here you are. So that's good.
Is the class that you're talking about? Oh, I'm sorry. No, I have a question. Is the class that, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You can talk, don't worry.
No, go ahead. Go.
I was wondering if the class that you just attended was like, I remember in I think our first meeting, you told us about 2 classes that you were taking online. I think one was for writing.
Question, yeah.
And those classes were usually they were on Thursday, and then they finished. They were lasting for 6 weeks. But
okay.
I'm going to start also middle of April. Also on Thursday, 2 classes. That's it's from 11 till 12:30, and then from 2 till 4.
What are the classes about or for?
Those are different. For example, the ones that I took before had to do with somebody was talking about the astronomy, about the planets, and that was interesting. And then the other class was about another subject, about literature.
That's super cool. I think that you're still taking classes and wanting to learn and still have that drive to learn more about the world and why things work. I think that's so cool.
But it's important to be curious and interested, and now they made it with the Zoom. It became an easier thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, we talked about a lot of things this meeting, but all kind of within the same category, very educational. We talked about how before, in meeting 1 or meeting 2, she told us that she was taking a few classes for college, and college classes, even though she's already past all that, she still loves to learn, which I think is so cool. But she was telling us that she's taking college classes back then, and today she told us that she also took a college class. So we had asked her if she was taking the same ones, And she told us that actually, she started new ones and she's going to continue to start new ones, which I think is incredibly cool. And I expressed it to her that, like, even though she's already, like, gone through all, like, school and has retired and has done everything, she still wants to learn and she still wants to.
Not only have we seen how Magda, like, continues to improve herself, like, in, like, physical aspects and, like, and is concerned with her health, like, in the aspect of, like, walking every day, but she also has, like, never stopped learning, and her love for learning is something that has never ceased, and we see her continually pursue that. Like, for instance, today in the meeting, she was talking about how at 3 o'clock, like right before our Zoom meeting, she had another Zoom meeting, either about literature, which was this, like, class she has been taking over Zoom, like, especially because of COVID, the classes have become much more accessible to her and stuff like that, so she has the opportunity now to take these Zoom classes and, like, learn something, and she absolutely loves it. And she was telling us how she was, like, rushing to finish the class and then, like, make herself a cup of tea before a Zoom meeting, which was very sweet because she was just excited to talk to us. And this isn't the first time that we've heard about her, like, taking Zoom classes. Like, earlier on in our sessions, like in our Zoom meetings, she used to tell us about how she would always have a Zoom class, like, right before ours, and those dealt with astronomy and African American literature. And the ones that she's taking now deals with like how things work in the world, like, for instance, like how a train works, which is so interesting that she's still fascinated by these things and wants to learn them and know more about the world around her. It's something that me and Sophie really resonated with, and we could really relate to her. Which is that curiosity for learning and stuff like that. And as I mentioned before, she's also taking a literature class. Dear Magda, I honestly cannot find the words to thank you. In the short time that I've known you, you have taught me countless lessons, whether it was through your experience, your wisdom, or your undying kindness. Listening to you for these past few months has given me so much perspective and taught me the true meaning of resilience. Despite the past you've endured, you somehow managed to be the most compassionate and positive person I've ever met, and I do truly mean that. You are so hopeful for the world. It is a quality that stood out to both me and Sophie and made a remarkable impact on both of us. We can see it in your eyes when you speak to us. There's that glimmer, that undyingly positive outlook for our future as people. And we hope to make you proud and fulfill that. I was so nervous to meet you at first, but I am incredibly grateful that I did. I remember going to Victor and expressing just how nervous I was, but Victor reassured me that he could have not paired both Sophie and I with anyone more perfect. And within minutes of our first meeting, I knew everything I had to. You were so sweet. You had the most confident smile, the most beautiful smile and earrings, and I am so grateful to have been a part of this project. But more so, I am grateful that I have been able to build this relationship with you that I hope we will continue in the future.
Dear Magda, I view my experience in this project and the relationship that you, Giselle, and I have built as a unique one. Beginning as a blank canvas, not knowing much of each other, aside from the fact that we were students and you were a survivor. However, as we learned more about each other in candid conversation, we shared laughs, teary eyes, and countless memories, each serving as a brush stroke in creating our painting. After learning of your past, you were so interested to learn about ours. And that was so admirable to me. This wasn't only a one-way learning experience where you are our teacher and we are your students, but it was collective. You asked about our families and wanted to understand our upbringing as well as our future aspirations. We quite literally followed a template of past, present, future, and it was beyond eye-opening. I'm so grateful to be able to understand through you and through our conversation that in the end, we are each artists of our own life's paintings. I'm honored to, in addition, to be a part of this project, Shabbat With Survivors, to have been able to meet you. Throughout our time in this project, I've learned what it truly means to be strong, resilient, humble, and stylish. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for not only teaching me about your culture and religion, or your tragic past, so we may learn from the obstacles you endured and hopefully prevent history from repeating itself, as well as to have a positive outlook on life and the future that is to come, but also for simply being yourself. In each of our most recent meetings, you would greet both me and Giselle by saying, "Hello, friends," and therefore, I feel it is only proper to end this letter to you by saying, "Thank you, friend. You have been a great one."
One of the most beautiful things that's come out of all this is a project I'm doing with you, the Shabbat With Survivors. I think that that's a beautiful thing that has come out of the pandemic.
what have you noticed to be the most impactful part of this project?
Shabbat with Survivors is when you approached me after being a guest on my June Institute, that you wanted to work with me and have me mentor you. And we were looking for a project, and Elisa Stein, my assistant, I said, well, I'd like to do something like Tuesdays with Maury. And Elisa said, well, how about Shabbat with Survivors? I said, that's it. And with your teacher, Eduardo Beretta, as your mentor teacher, you meet with these survivors every week right before Shabbat, the Holy Sabbath for the Jews. And you have learned to bond with them.
Definitely.
So you tell me what's the most impactful thing that has happened to you in that relationship?
The most beautiful part about it is the sense of comfort and community you have with this person that you feel you can't really relate to on a deep level because you didn't go what they went through. You didn't go through that. But you can still come together to speak with them and connect with them about what they do on their everyday lives, how they're feeling. And I think that is the most wonderful part about this project, that sense of togetherness and building a new relationship with someone that you would have never thought you could have a relationship with.
So you're saying that the survivors are also learning more about the culture of each one of the students. Is that right?
Course. Yes.
So where is this project going to end up for us? Tell everybody.
So we hope to have a documentary created regarding the entire project with everyone included, including yourself, Miriam, and all the survivors and all the students. And it's going to basically encapsulate what this project means to us and what we hope it can mean for people who don't really know about it yet. And we wish for them to know about it.
Well, I think you're doing a beautiful job, and I'm very glad that the Institute is behind this, and also in partnership, of course, with the Miami-Dade County Schools. That's wonderful.
Thank you so much. It means a lot coming from you. And I really appreciate all the guidance and help you've given me and the rest of my team throughout this whole process. And I am so glad I get to work with you on this. It's wonderful. I had some more questions regarding the impact you have as an educator.
That question would go more to the students and teachers that I teach. Don't you agree?
I do. So, these are some of the grateful people that have been touched by you, Miriam.
Everyone directed me to one woman, Dr. Miriam Klein Kazanoff.
She's just a good person and thinks about a lot of different issues, and a pleasure to speak with, and knowledgeable, bright.
Whether she is instructing students, delivering professional development for colleagues, facilitating a community discussion after a relevant film screening, or presenting at an international conference, she always demonstrates the intense passion and vast subject matter knowledge of a great teacher.
You share so much with all of us, with all the educators, with the community.
Delighted to be in the background and watch as Miriam teaches the teachers of Dade County so that teachers can go on and teach the students.
I mean, her work is so noble. I feel like it's really important for kids in my generation.
She's taught me that things do happen again unless we are vigilant. She is an example to me of what a real educator is.
Shabbat with Survivors isn't just my project. Ultimately, it wouldn't have been possible without all of those participants involved.
Dear Stefan, that was so beautiful. It brought tears to my eyes. I love you both. You are my family. And I hope for a bright future for all of you.
Thank you.
Success and God bless you.
We love you.
It's been wonderful to get to know you, and I hope we stay in touch. And it would be wonderful to meet face to face in the near future. I hope we can arrange it. Good luck to you. Have a wonderful life. And best of luck to get into a good university and learn whatever you want and write those books. Okay? Write those books. Good luck.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Eva and Alexandra, thank you very much.
And I must tell you very honestly that I learned just as much from you as I hope you learned from me. And the opportunity to meet you and learn about your lives and your all daily routines was very, very interesting to me. And I wish you both all the very, very best life has to offer. And let's not lose sight of each other. You are now my girls also. And I'd like to know what your lives will be from now on. So please keep me posted and let's not be strangers. Thank you very much.
But I wanted to say that it was a wonderful two-way experience with the students vis-a-vis. We learned about each other, about their families. They learned about my family, about the experiences. And the aim is, I think, that people care about each other and that people do good things for each other every day, whether it's small or not so significant, but to can change a little life for somebody who is maybe suffering or doesn't have a good day. And I think the students can do a lot. And I think growing up to care about each other, I think we care about them, and I think the students cared about us. And keeping this going for a few weeks was an interesting experience. I've been a teacher in Dade County Public School for 20 over years with students, various ages. And I have one student who at age 12 was the last time we saw each other as she was a child. Since then, she's still in touch with me and I'm in touch with her. She is now a professor at the university in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And she has a PhD. And when she comes to Miami, she always wants to see me. Right now I'm in Boston, so that's a different subject. But it's just amazing that people, how they make connection and can stay connected. Thank you. And I love my students, my two young ladies here.
We love you too, Magda.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Love you too. Also, we hope to stay connected with you also and continue our relationship.
Thank you.
To you, to Chris, to all the students, and that teacher, oh, you know, my true feeling is that our teachers are the most important people in our entire life. Parents come and go, but our teachers are very important. Miriam is a teacher. And Mr. Brito, what a teacher you are. Not only for creating this, but I see the glint in your eye, even through Zoom, because I have special glasses today. The love and the endurance and the wish to convey information to everyone. This is big, and I congratulate all your students for having such a great teacher for them and for the rest of their lives. Thank you so much, and God bless you all. And this is a wonderful, wonderful meeting. And this documentary will be a world success. Not only because of the people in it, but because of the intention to share. God bless you all.
I want to say that the survivors, you don't know me, my name is Eduardo Barreto, and I've had the privilege of being every one of these students' teacher over the years, whether in 10th grade or in 11th grade English. And I can tell you that teachers and parents alike have that privilege of being able to give their kids that which they did not have. And I remember growing up in Venezuela. I'm Cuban, but I grew up in Venezuela. And I remember listening about the Holocaust, sometimes casually in certain history classes, and then growing up reading Night, and then becoming more involved and really only understanding it more when I became a teacher. That's really what happened. It's when I became a teacher that I understood it more. I understood it, I mean, perhaps at all. And it's I always wanted to be able to share that kind of experience. And I honestly, when I hear them speak about their experience, the students today, and when I hear them in the hallway, when I hear them talk to each other, telling me how it's going, I am so happy. I cannot tell you anything else, but I am very happy that they got this experience. It's truly wonderful. I think all around it was an incredible experience that we all got to enjoy, and to me that's the greatest joy that this could happen.
Oh.
So thank you everyone so much for being a part of it. I can tell you as their teacher that I see a growth that is beyond intellectual and academic. It's personal and interpersonal. It's emotional. They are growing as human beings. They are growing as loving people of change and people of significance. And I can tell you because I see them, and I don't know. I don't know. I feel like you have been instrumental in sending kids into the world who will become agents of change. And I really appreciate that, because you have been teachers alike, ushering on the next generation. And I thank you for that.
It's wonderful to watch the generational flow of information. And I am also certified as a teacher, although I am not teaching in the Dade County Public Schools at the moment. But I do understand the notion of teachers being so influential in your life. You know, Mr. Barreto, you have been there for Eduardo and all of your survivors that literally took the notion of teaching the students that they were assigned or paired with the important, I don't want to say values, but the life events that shaped them, and then how they turned it into, literally each one of you, a very positive opportunity. And that's very special, because everyone has adversity in their life, hopefully not to the extent of ever being in the situation of the Holocaust survivors. But it is so important to have that mentorship and to know that you can find guidance. And whoever your next mentor is, Victor, they will be lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Very true. Very true.
Miriam, Mr. Barreto, Elisa, all the students and survivors, you guys have acted as my mentors throughout all this experience. I've learned a lot from all of you. And I want to make this short and sweet. Just thank you. I am so blessed to have had this experience with all of you. And just that's about it. I just want to say thank you guys so much for allowing me to create this with, UM Holocaust Research Institute, Terra Environmental Research Institute.
Okay. So we'll be in touch. Have a nice Shabbat weekend.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
And Victor, give me the
Shabbat with Survivors' purpose is to promote the development of society today by looking at the experiences of yesterday, with the bond between the survivors and students not just being a product of the project, but its driving force. Whether that be the Holocaust survivors' discussion of their religion, the world today, or their Holocaust survivor experience. The students and Holocaust survivors learned from one another, and will continue to pass down these lessons to the future generations of tomorrow.